as a segue then, because we had such a discussion last week, because you told me that Edmont was going to be an evil character now.
Yeah.
Evil characters in Ravenloft, traditionally, not in 5th edition, but in previous editions, evil characters in Ravenloft walked a fine line. And we had a
Yeah.
discussion about what level of that line you wanted to walk for Edmont. And I have you, like, you had me put you down for Eff Me Up Fam.
Yeah.
Those are his words.
He just checked.
Yeah, those
He
are the
just
words I
checked that
used.
box. He checked the box. It's double signed. We
Underlined
got
it.
it. We got it notarized.
It's initial. Yeah.
There's a happy face drawn next to it.
He's like, the screen popped up, click here if you're not a robot.
Rick, on that note, Victor is chaotic neutral now.
Not till the end of this session, you're not. All right. So yeah, I have Edmont down for F Me Up Fam.
F me up, fam.
And technically, you all count as his fam, so...
Yeah. Oh god, my computer fell asleep. I haven't touched my mouse in a minute.
All right,
We're
let me
all
get some
going to,
maps up here.
Wake up, computer. I need to get back into Tabletop Simulator.
So where we have landed on the 3 villages of Aelhirst, Barazar, and Rodolph are that Aelhirst and Barazar are your vassal villages. They each have burgeoning industries. Barazar's is set to be profitable within the shorter term because they'll be starting to take ore out of the ground, whereas Aelhirst is going to be a more long-term project, made longer now because nobody was cool with the idea of blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice is basically a cheat code, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Why do we have 2 Orsons?
That's the new plot twist. You got to figure out which one's the evil Orson.
Well, we just look for the one with the mustache.
goatee.
Yeah, he's
Damn
got,
it,
he's got a
Treble.
goatee.
I messed up the reference and spoke over McDohl. I'm sorry.
And then Rodolph is not your vassal village and is in fact being headed by a somewhat powerful magician who insists that he owes you all nothing and was very impolite to all of you. Although, to be fair, you did break into his village uninvited. So maybe you had it coming. And then you stole the man out of his gibbet and delivered him to Duke Darkwood.
Yep.
And then you returned...
No, we didn't steal him. He was our
Steal.
property.
He's not property.
He was also given to us.
Everything outside of the walls was declared to be Evie's.
So Evie claimed her property.
Yep.
In the shape of this...
Yep.
this gibbet hobo.
Mm-hmm.
And he was delivered unto Darkwood, with the hopes that Darkwood would whip him into shape. Okay. Edmont. You're expecting, as the last weeks of spring are fading away, you were told, your family was told, to be expecting Rudolf van Richten, who you have commissioned to come out and solve all your problems for you because you guys can't be bothered. Before that, though, is going to be the time of the month where Edmont needs to be locked up in his dungeon, and you have been fuming about this inwardly. The journey back to Silverbow from Lake Rodolph. Because here's the thing. Your journey back to Silverbow was hurried and exhausting because apparently Genie left some terrible magic device that was going to explode or blow up or something. So everybody had to drop what they're doing and get back. She didn't even bother to think to mention this in the weeks and weeks you guys were traveling back and forth between villages. It was just spur of the moment. Oh yeah, we got to go right now.
Yeah.
And of course, if she hadn't done that, there would have been death and destruction in your home village, which you've been working very hard to keep under wraps. And you just can't help but look at your cousins, especially. Like, you can't count how many times Victor's mouth or Evie's stubbornness has caused problems. And thinking about it, you haven't caused anybody problems. You haven't been the source of any. You've been towing the line. You've been doing what was expected. You've been doing more than has been expected from you. Above and beyond, many, many times over. And you can't help but bristle at the indignity of the idea that you have to go down into this dungeon. So here's what I want you to do.
Sure.
I want you to make me a Dark Powers check.
Absolutely.
This is a D20 roll, and you do not know your ability for it. Only I know that. So you just tell me what the roll is up here.
Follow the road. That's a 10.
Okay. Edmont.
Sure.
Getting back to the village. Under no circumstances are you going back into that dungeon. You cannot stomach the indignity of it. There is no actual proof or evidence that this transformation that's going to take over your body, like, you feel like you can control it. You haven't even been given the opportunity to try. These people have told you, no, we need to chain you up. We need to lock your neck to the wall. And then even that wasn't enough. Even after that, Evie was like, no, now we need to magically compel your actions. And while that ended up not going through, it's like, it was seriously discussed by these people who are your family. So yeah, the only way you're going into this dungeon in the next few days is if you are physically forced to. Now what?
Edmont announces that he is going to out into the wilderness for a few days.
Now?
Yes, now.
Are you gonna go hunting or something?
What about the
Perhaps.
what about the the thing? If you go out now, you're not going to make it back in time for the.
Maybe he's just going out for the day.
In
Edmund,
time for the imprisonment, is that you are we going to are we coming up with new fun euphemisms?
Whoa, Edmund, what's going on? What are you talking about? Imprisonment?
What do you think he's talking about?
For almost a year now, every month, I've been the dutiful cousin, and doing what I thought was best for the family, and going into that imprisonment.
But wasn't that your idea to begin with?
Indeed, it was. And yet, for our cousin, for our Duchess, that wasn't enough.
Oh, is this about the whole enslavement thing?
Yes.
Victor glares over at Evie. Evie, he's got a point.
No,
Like,
he doesn't.
You did want him magically controlled.
Wait, so your argument is because Evie made a suggestion that we didn't follow through with, you're now going to go out in the wilderness and put people potentially at risk?
Edmont, you hear Jeannie say that. The only reason half the village isn't exploded right now is because she just randomly remembered that she left an experiment on the stove. This concern suddenly for the village does not sit well in your stomach.
Yeah, and Edmont calls her out on that. He says, "You said that you brought us back here because you remembered an experiment that you had left running for who knows how long, without any supervision. That you suddenly realized, oh, we might come back home to a crater."
Yes, and we didn't because I remembered and we came back and fixed the problem.
Wait,
So
Jeannie,
going what?
that was real? I thought you were making an excuse so we could get back. You're telling me this action zone was going to explode?
Which is it, cousin? Which lie is the truth?
What? I didn't tell Victor that. I mean,
you
out of
didn't.
character, Jeannie did lie to all of you. Like, everyone is aware of that, right? But she hasn't told anybody it was a lie.
Well, no, but Jeannie did
Well,
say
both
that
things
we had to
can't
come
be
back.
true, so... Yeah, both things can't be true, cousin. Which is the lie?
Like, I didn't tell Victor that.
Oh, Treble, you didn't tell all of us that we had to go back because someone was going to explode?
I did say that, but I didn't, and I did lie, but, like, I didn't tell people. I
But
didn't
you don't
tell
know
anybody.
that she lied.
Yeah.
No,
I was,
you're just-
I was mixing
you're
up
just
in
assuming that
character
it was an
speech
excuse
without a
so
character
we
speech.
get back here.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if it was
apologize.
actually a lie or not.
So, like, why are you saying that I'm lying?
No, Victor's assumption is that you just came up with an excuse so we can get back here without like losing face or something.
Oh,
So Victor was told to lie, but he didn't believe it.
Are we sure Victor isn't the Dark Powers?
Suffice to say, I'm not going back into that dungeon.
I mean, we could build a new dungeon. We could put, like, a bigger, like, if you want. Maybe we could put some pillows down, nice curtains. Is that the problem? Is there not enough?
No. I will not be a prisoner in my own home.
You're not the prisoner, the wolf is.
And
That is me.
Edmund, you just feel your instincts, again, just hot with anger when Jeannie says that. The idea that you and the wolf are separate entities. She's just not listening.
Oh, you gotta remember, Jeannie failed a horror check. She is physically incapable of seeing them as the same individual. Like, you told me that, like when I look at that, that's not Edmont, and I
Right.
can't be in the same room with that. So,
I have Edmont down for Eff Me Up Fam.
yep. So, are we going to have to, like?
So that's the impasse. Is Edmont and Jeannie cannot come to the same reconciliation. The
So
dark
Evie, this is
powers at work.
Edmund. What are you doing?
Going out into the wilderness to wait this out on my own.
No. What is it that you really think you are doing here? Explain it to me.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
You are taking a very reckless action because you're upset. You understand? That's what's going on here.
Edmund, you seem to recall very, very recently some reckless actions taken by Evie in her stubbornness, which came within a hair's breadth of alienating possibly your most powerful ally in Darkon.
And you refuse to parlay with Rowan Darkwood? That you refused any kind of deal with him?
I didn't trust him and I still don't. I think you're a fool if you do. But I signed the treaty, okay?
Hey, calm
Only
down.
after all four of us all 5 of us, he glances at Orson, after all 5 of us browbeat you into it.
Since Orson's been tagged in the conversation, he crosses his arms. Says, perhaps you ought to just go into the dungeon, cousin. It's been working until now. People have been safe. You did... and he remembers the attack that almost happened on Tenny when she snuck down into the basements.
What if Edmont goes and hangs out with the Keltostravi for a day or so while this happens? Maybe they have some ideas that can help him.
I think
Yeah,
he's already
yeah.
talked to them.
It lasts for 3 nights, and I have not requested such an audience with them or anything in that regard. But I had given that some thought.
I mean, they're our allies, right? Maybe it's worth looking at, and then you might not have to have people tell you to go in the dungeon.
I don't think they're going to have any more success at controlling him.
I mean, they're werewolves. If anyone knows anything about this condition, they do.
I think I vaguely recall, like out of character, I vaguely recall McDohl talking to the Keltostravi that visited when at the start of the season when they brought us the tribute.
So
And
the
they
difference between their situation and Edmont's is that they were born as Loup Garou, whereas Edmont contracted a disease.
Yeah, they basically told them, sorry, we don't know what, like, we're not the same as you. Deal with it.
That was the long and the short of it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not going to work. But
Everyone has secrets, including this family. If I can divine what those secrets they have are, I might be able to do this at will.
I mean, everybody knows Genie doesn't have blood.
Well, everybody in the room knows. I don't know that it's common knowledge amongst the villagers.
Right? No, it's not.
Edmund, you're talking about not only putting people in danger, putting yourself in danger, and risking this knowledge of what you are getting out. To what end?
Like I said, I refuse to be a prisoner in my own home.
Like,
Why?
Edmund, you can't help but think that Evie and Jeannie and Victor, they never have to justify their ends. They just do the things that they feel like doing.
The idea that Evie never has to justify anything is comical.
True, but Edmund is being directed by dark powers.
little whispers in his brain.
To be clear, I'm not in the business of dictating what characters should think and feel, but in this case, Edmund has failed a dark powers check, and they have a direction they want him to move in.
And we have the notarized paperwork that says, let me look at it. Fuck me up, fam.
So let's go around the table real quick. Starting with Jeannie, who's just at the top of my list here. Are you inclined to agree to let Edmund go off into the wilderness and try to handle this on his own, rather than go down into your giggle dungeon, which you guys spent a lot of time on?
Like, no, like, Jeannie's thing is, like, she doesn't want the wolf out running. She thinks the wolf is dangerous. She's a little scared of it, and because of the thing, she wants it in the giggle dungeon. She doesn't consider it. She considers it's a separate entity to Edmont,
Mm-hmm.
and that it doesn't get a say.
What about Victor? Same question.
So Victor would like for Edmund to go there on his own will, but then he thinks about that time that Jeannie was stuck under the fountain, unable to move, totally trapped there, and then he thinks about what the Giggle Dungeon's like with no doors and no windows, and so he's not going to force Edmund to go in there.
Like,
What about Evie?
Like-
Evie absolutely doesn't want him out there. She thinks, one, he's going to be in danger. Two, other people are going to be in danger. But what she would want to do she knows that it's gonna have. If anyone's gonna be able to convince him not to do this, it's gonna be Ekon.
Ekon, Edmont has been critical of pretty much everybody in the family except you.
Yeah.
On this matter. And you're the one that has put the most thought and work into inventing this giggle dungeon in the first place.
Yeah, but I'm still actually pretty pissed off that Genie went so far when she was trying to magically compel him, so,
Evie.
I feel like if she had maybe used a lighter touch, this wouldn't be coming up.
So are you inclined to trust him to go out into the wilderness?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not the best solution, but again, like, she should have thought of that before she tried to,
That is not a rational
ways to go.
escalation.
I mean,
What are you talking about? Evie
Wait.
is like flummoxed.
what is the? So I have a question. Like you don't even remember like when you turn into a wolf. Like you have no cognizant like memories. You don't. You just black out and you wake up, and you're tired, right?
I've had no experiences regardless. All I've had has been sitting in that cell.
Which you don't remember at all.
And now that Genie's saying that, Edmont, you're pretty sure you can remember. You're pretty sure you've experienced long hours just in the blinding light, unable to move. And it begins to weigh on you, and the thought of going back to it even more galvanizes your resolve to not go into this dungeon.
Absolutely not.
Eve's just like, Ekon, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? Explain what you're doing.
You don't seem to want a lot of explanations, Evie.
I'm going out into the wilderness to learn what this means for me.
I was talking
As
to
that's
Ekon.
something. Oh,
I mean, again, he's done this before. We haven't found any evidence that it went badly. Like,
Ekon, you've seen what he becomes.
Tried to eat Tinny.
I mean, Tinny was trying to be eaten. Victor doesn't actually say that.
I was just to say Victor.
It's her fault for looking so delicious.
this is a part of who I am now.
I mean, until we
and
cure
I,
it.
and I've been. And I've been stuck in there, not able to explore it, to open my mind to it.
I mean, let's.
All you've done is lock me away like I don't exist. Pretend that I'm just a problem that will blow over eventually, but it's not. It's not blowing over.
Let's think
It's
logically
not
about
working.
this. If we're not going to be able to force Edmont into this dungeon, and I don't want to force him in there. Ekon doesn't want to force him in there. If we try, he's just going to do his monk thing and run away anyway. So it's probably in our best interest. Just let him try it. We'll make sure we warn the village that everyone needs to be inside by
It
night.
isn't- What you are proposing is completely unacceptable. This cannot be allowed.
Are you going to stop it?
If I have to.
Edmont stands up.
Evie, what do you do to force him into the dungeon?
Nobody's gonna back me on this?
I mean,
I'm
like,
not.
But Victor's not.
Why, Ekon? Like Genie looks at you like, for real, like seriously, is this just entirely because you're mad about the Gias thing? You would put everybody else in the village at risk for that?
I mean, again, he's gone out before. Like, out
Right.
of character, yes, but in character, Ekon is absolutely rationalizing.
So like you're like, and then Genie says, so you're willing to, it's not your life that you're doing it. And I look at both Ekon and it says, Genie says, I'll wash my hands of it, but I want the two of you to know, because like, I don't think we could solve this without coming to blows, but I want you two to know. And I look at Ekon and Edmont says, if anybody dies, it is because you did not take the precautions necessary to prevent it. Take
I don't
this from
have that
somebody.
luxury. I can't pretend I don't know what's gonna happen. I have to stop this.
Like, Like, Jeannie says, it's just the only way we can stop this is if we physically fight them. Is that what you want to do?
Looks like it's going to be 4 versus 2.
I won't fight you, family.
I don't
It's
want to
like-
fight you either, but you're not thinking clearly.
Edmont, you have never thought more clearly in your whole life.
Edmont walks out of the room.
Edmont!
There's absolutely nothing we could do to catch him, like, ever.
No, he's a monk. He has 120.
Evie, like, to Victor and Ekon's like, what is the matter with you two? What are you thinking?
Evie, you need to
Sometimes
learn
you-
how to talk to people better when Victor walks out.
Orson says that
Jeannie has
if he comes, he seems very troubled. He says if he comes back and he's transformed and he poses a danger, I'm confident we could kill him.
I mean, if
I
it
don't want
comes,
to kill him.
he goes, well, I might be able to disable him long enough for us to put him back into the dungeon, but it's just like this is a mistake. And she looks at Ekon. Ekon, this is a mistake, but it's a mistake that it's yours to make, I suppose.
No, it's not a mistake. It's a disaster.
Edmont, where do you go?
Victor's going to try and find Edmund, by the way.
You're not going to find him. He's a monk. He's a monk that can cast Pass without tracing.
Yeah, no, if his intent is to run out of the woods, yeah, Victor's not going to find him.
Yeah, Edmont is just gonna leave straight for the woods.
So out into the wilderness.
Yeah.
The next 3 days are very, very tense in the village. The 3 days of the full moon. Every morning, waking up to potentially news of dread, but it doesn't come. As far as you know, nobody knows where Edmont went. There have been no sightings of him. Edmont,
Sure.
your memory in this period is hazy, heavy, and hot. You have some cognizance of becoming the monster, but also being yourself at the same time. You hunt. You kill animals. You feed on them. Over the course of the third night, as you feel the fever waning back off of you, exhausted in the woods, and you're used to this feeling. It feels like waking up after sleeping through a fevered haze. You've done it before. Usually you're chained to a wall at this point. And this would be the point where your brother would come into the cell and do the magic that needs to be done to release you. But as far as you can tell, none of the blood on your hands is human. As far as you can tell, you haven't killed anything that you didn't devour. And you feel the beast doesn't retreat all the way inward. Here's something you're going to add to your character sheet.
Sure.
As an action, once per long rest, you can make a dark powers check. Whether you pass or fail that check, which is knowledge you will not have, you can transform yourself into the Loup Garou. You will not get their benefit of... Actually, I don't know if they have a shape changer benefit of, like, their clothes not tearing off. That's something you're going to have to figure out on your own. Your strength, dexterity, and constitution scores in that form become 18 unless they're already higher. In addition, to retaining your social skills, all of your class abilities, you gain the claw and bite attacks. How many attacks? 2 attacks per round, right? Is a level?
Attacks, yes.
Okay. These are not unarmed strikes, and they do not count as martial arts in any capacity.
Sure.
And I'm going to paste these into the Flumph chat too, so you have access to them.
Okay, cool.
Your claw attack which you can replace as any standard melee attack.
Mhm.
It's a +9 to hit, 2d6 +4 slashing damage. And if you hit, your opponent has to save strength, DC 17, or be knocked prone. Your bite attack is +9 to hit, 3d8 +4 piercing damage, plus 46 necrotic damage. So once per long rest, as an action, you make a Dark Powers check, transform into this bestial form.
Mhm.
After an hour, or when you dismiss the form, you gain a level of exhaustion.
Okay.
At the end of 3 days, here, let me post this in the chat here. You guys saw that I put Orson's.
Yeah.
Okay. There's your claw and bite stats, so you can copy those over. At the end of 3 days, Edmont returns. His clothes and his armor that he was wearing are ragged, and you can see where they've torn and stretched in places. His arms, well, I'm assuming it's up. I guess it's up to Edmont whether or not he's bathed in the wilderness.
Probably would have washed himself off in a river or something.
Okay. But he's definitely been in fights. But he was true to his word. He didn't return to the village during the transformation, didn't pose a threat to anybody here, and there are no dead bodies.
Comment to Ekon that went well.
Well, enough, I suppose.
Feel better now, Edmont?
Much.
And Genie was overreacting. Or Evie was overreacting.
She's been doing that a lot lately.
Genie was also reacting
Yeah.
poorly to this. Genie is DM compelled to like think irrationally when it comes to the werewolf.
I think because you failed the horror check, that was the start.
I did fail a horror check, yes.
Yeah, she did fail the horror check for that.
Well, I'll leave
She
it up
cannot-
to Jeannie how her opinion evolves from here.
I mean, it's still a bad idea. She still would tell you she still thinks even okay, nothing happened this time, but what about next time? What about the time after that? And the time after that? Like you have to get lucky forever, and they like a peasant only has to get unlucky once.
What are Evie's thoughts on Edmund's
Eventually
return?
someone's going to die.
What are Evie's thoughts on Edmund's return?
Very frustrated. Like,
Fucked
you know,
around and it didn't find out.
Well, I mean, she's gonna like talk to Genie and Orson and saying they are doing this reckless thing out of what, spite?
Orson doesn't like it any more than Evie does, but Edmund was true to his word. He went out into the wilderness for 3 days, didn't hurt anybody. Maybe
This
he's in control of it.
I think he's in less control than ever.
I mean, the wolf isn't him, Orson. The wolf is a separate entity.
What are you asking Orson to do?
Well, I mean, he was kind of on our side on this. Like, I guess I just want to know like how he feels about the situation. Like, Evie's just like, I
What's
don't know
Evie's
what
passive insight?
pretty high. 20.
He says that he thinks that we should trust. Or he says that he trusts Edmont's judgment. It's a frightening experience, but apparently Edmont's on top of it, more so than he thought. However, you definitely sense there's more that Orson's not telling you.
Orson, in this situation, I need you to speak your mind. Tell me what's really going on.
He looks back and forth between Evie and Jeannie. So, I think I just did.
No, there's more. Tell me what it is. I'm struggling here, Orson. I need your help.
I think we should trust Edmont.
Is that really what you think?
Like,
What was Jeannie saying?
say he's cursed. It's a curse. Like, it's an evil curse, an evil unseelie curse. Like, eventually he's going to kill somebody, and then what? What if he kills Tinny? What if he kills Evie? What if he kills you, Orson? He's not killing me. I will kill him first. Jeannie's getting a little irrational about it, and she turns around and she leaves.
Orson, please. Tell me what's going on.
He tells you he can be your brother or your servant, but not both.
You're my brother, you know that. I've not asked you to be my servant.
You treat me like a servant.
When?
He tells you it's not in his nature to air these kind of grievances. He understands the purpose of this place and the hard work that needs to be done here. He understands that he has a particular set of physical attributes that are necessary. And he doesn't begrudge anybody this life of adventuring. He knows that back at home, it would be pretty much the same life with the same kinds of dangers.
So he just thinks things like this are just normal?
He points out that, like, Victor's sister and his parents were killed in a ruins chasing adventure very similar to the ones that you guys have been going on this past year. This is the lifestyle that he, especially is, what is he, like the fourth son?
I think he's number 6.
Well,
Yeah, something like that. He's pretty low in the birth order. But yeah, this was the lifetime that he was expecting for himself.
A lifetime of watching your family turn into monsters and then declare that they're going to recklessly rampage across the countryside?
I don't think Edmont is a monster.
I don't think he is yet. I worry that he's trying to become one.
I do worry that one of my siblings is turning into a monster. But it's not Edmont.
What do you mean?
He decides to leave it at that, unless you press him.
I need to press him.
Are you ordering me to answer, Your Highness?
I'm asking you as your sister. Be honest with me. If I have made mistakes, it is your place to tell me that.
You're making a mistake now.
By allowing Edmund to do as he wishes?
You should trust him. You trust Victor and Jeannie to make mistakes.
I don't trust Victor at all right now.
I don't know what you want from me.
Orson, I feel so alone. I'm trying to do what is right. I'm trying to do what's best. I'm trying to protect this family. But it feels like they are all working against me in that.
He shrugs. Well, you're wrong. You're not seeing clearly.
Orson, what is going on with you?
I was asked to speak my mind. I ordered, in fact.
Like Evie thinks something is going on with Orson.
Well, this is the first time Evie's asked for his opinion point blank like that.
Yeah, that's
Usually
probably
you guys
true.
are happy to just let him sit in the back of the scene.
Well, you always tell us Orson has no opinions. Like, legitimately, whenever we try to involve Orson, and Orson is an NPC, he has no opinions. That is word for word things that have come out of your mouth.
I don't think we all read the fine print in that "Fuck Me Up Fam" contract. I think our names were in there too.
40 sessions of effing around for finding out.
Orson, I think trusting him on this is a mistake.
That he doesn't have much else to add to the situation. He can't help you through your own crisis.
Evie doesn't know what to do now. Like, I was hoping this would be the session where we could start to, like, bring things down, and now, like, 40 gallons of kerosene have been dumped on the fire.
I mean, I'm looking at the contract. It says Eff Me Up Fam.
Yeah, but, like, we all didn't sign it. Like, did McDohl forge all of our signatures?
He had power of attorney in that situation.
No!
You never give a power of attorney. That's how they get you.
I feel like if Evie wants to have things be less intense, it's entirely on Evie to be less intense in her reactions to everything. Evie is always, everything is completely life or death, and we have to do things my way or we're all going to die.
Is that really how I've been?
Yes! That's what Orson thinks.
Yeah, we have this conversation in character.
I don't want to have it with Victor, that's for sure.
This is Victor and Ekon while Edmont is out. Victor says that, or Ekon says that to Victor.
Oh, Victor wholeheartedly agrees.
If Edmont were there, he would agree.
Well, Evie needs to call a meeting, I guess, to try to frickin' sort this shit out.
Edmont shows up wearing his best werewolf clothes.
What are the best werewolf clothes? Just describe them to me.
I'm picturing...
It doesn't matter because once he goes werewolf, he will inevitably be left in a pair of underwear, and no matter what underwear he was wearing before, they will be purple.
Yeah, he's got to get those stretchy purple pants.
Yeah.
Spandex.
So, Evie, who are you calling to this meeting?
I mean, bringing Victor to the meeting is going to be extremely unproductive. I think I want...
But we still need to bring him. He's part of the family, Jeannie will say.
I mean, we will bring him, and then he will do everything possible to disrupt it and make it worse.
Yeah, but we're all used to it by now, right? Like, he can, like, vaguely threaten us all we want. We just roll it off. He's not it's not like he's
Threats have stopped being vague lately. Like, do you remember in the Halls of the Squelcher Lord, where
I think he thinks, I don't think he's doing it on purpose.
Well, whether he's doing it on purpose or not. You remember in the Halls of the Squelcher Lord, where his MO was to be as provocative as possible to provoke a response, and then claim self-defense?
Like, that's the kind of thing we should discuss in a family meeting.
I guess Evie...
I think we should all...
Yeah, she'll call everyone to a family meeting to try to talk through all this, because it's gotten way out of control at this point.
Does this include Tenny?
I think Tenny's... I mean, does Tenny want to come?
I'm just trying to figure out, like, all the members of the family that are actually here. Like,
I don't know that any of it involves Tenny.
Okay.
Like,
there aren't any other... That's all of us now that Lugren's left, right?
Yeah, Lugren is drinking wine in a foreign village.
Hopefully.
Like, Tenny doesn't need to see us yell at each other. We can have, like, honestly, like, Tenny seems to be doing fine.
Yeah.
Like, she's found a thing she likes.
Self.
Tenny is living her best life, yeah.
Tenny
Ravenloft.
complained the least last session, I think.
She did. I think like that's something like we need to like look into. We need to like follow up on, like. But yeah,
Yeah, Evie calls the 6 party members together.
Okay.
We need to have a sit down and have a heart to heart.
And you're having this discussion in your manor?
Yeah, you could switch to the manor map. There's a room we have specifically for this.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me...
The family argument room.
The family argument room?
in case we
Yeah,
have to roll
parlor.
initiative.
I'll be in the angry dome.
We haven't installed that yet, but there is an accusing parlor.
The chamber of accusations. Hey, here you go. Well, which room is the angry room?
We've got this room right here is like a meeting room.
Okay. With 7 chairs. There are 6 of you.
No, sometimes you're going to have a special guest or something like that.
Okay, here's how I want to conduct this. I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to ask you a question. Your question can be 2 sentences long, but they have to be short sentences. I don't want to hear any semicolons. You know what I mean?
What about dashes?
If you spring a dash on me, I'm banning you. Like, you know, no punctuation at all. Just, Jeannie,
Yeah.
what is Jeannie's ideal outcome for this family meeting?
That we all just like Jeannie wants like everybody to reaffirm that like we're getting out of here. Like we're not staying. We want to go home,
Okay.
and that like everyone to acknowledge that the werewolf thing is going to get somebody killed eventually.
What is Edmont's ideal outcome for this meeting?
We get a that Edmont doesn't have to go into the into what Jeannie is terming the giggle dungeon.
Okay. What is Victor's ideal outcome for this meeting?
Victor wants us to find a way home and start putting in more effort to do that, which obviously includes exploring more ruins.
Evie, what is Evie's ideal outcome for this meeting?
Evie wants everyone to stop circling each other like vultures, stop treating the party like it's a hostage situation, and get everyone to stop fighting.
And what is Ekon's ideal outcome for this meeting?
Ekon wants Evie to chill the fuck out. And maybe admit that some of her problems are her own sense of entitlement and control. Because otherwise we're never getting past them.
So, I have Victor and Jeannie seem very well aligned here. Find a way home. We're not doing enough to get home. We should be bending more efforts in that direction. Edmont does not want to be treated like a prisoner and locked up in the giggle dungeon. Ekon wants Evie to chill out. And Evie wants the party to stop fighting each other. So with those ideas in mind, keeping those in the back of your head, how does this discussion go?
So I think the first thing Evie's going to do is she's going to say, obviously, the fact that this is happening at all is all my fault. So I'm trying to clear the air because I worry that we are being goaded into conflict with each other. And at this point, Evie reveals the future that the Vistana told her about the illusionist.
Okay, let me pull that up real quick, because I actually have that in my notes. All of y'all's Vistani reading. So Evie took that reading to mean, the illusionist that was shown, took that reading to mean that somebody close to her was being unfaithful, and I believe Koyana even pointed out that the card can often mean betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
how much of this conflict does Evie imagine stems from that reading? How much stock is she putting into it?
There is a certain amount of it that definitely came from that. Like, Evie admits that she panicked when Edmund started saying that he should be in charge instead of her. She started to feel very afraid the way that particularly Edmund and Victor have been circling her the last month or so. And she is not proud to admit that the Gias idea was partially motivated out of fear. It was not a good idea. And
I'm glad to hear you say that.
she will say directly to Edmund, "I'm sorry, and you have my word. I will never do anything like that again. But I still believe that we need to take appropriate precautions. And the dungeon that Ekon designed has been successful so far."
Edmont gestures with his head to the outside and says, "We also have evidence that allowing me to explore this and to explore this situation has been successful as well."
Well, the plural of anecdote is not data.
Same could be said for you. For your position.
I mean, the obvious solution is that we just cure the lycanthropy and Edmont goes about his life.
I think that needs to be our priority going forward.
Is that what Edmont wants?
And yet, by diverting our efforts toward that, we divert efforts away from trying to get back to Brennany, which was our goal from the outset, was it not?
Yes,
Indeed.
And is that no longer the case?
I have ideas on how we can maybe look into that, but Jeannie kind of lets out a sigh and kind of lays her head on the table and says, like, I need some time and maybe some to travel a little bit. Because remember, Jeannie got the location of those libraries from our detective friends, the ones that they visited. Like, she expresses that she would like to visit the libraries and see if there's any kind of knowledge that might be relevant for us in there.
Jeannie, that's the best idea I've heard since Darkwood cured this curse.
Oh, crap. Jeannie says, that means we can't do it, because... Like, if Victor thinks it's a good idea, it's probably not.
Hey, if you don't want to go, then tell me where it is and I'll go myself.